All right, everybody, how are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. I tell you, we're getting back in our rhythm for real. We've been working on this. We've been working on this project, as you can see, scrolling down there, attracteveryone.com. So do check it out. It's about for all of you who want to attract just the coolest stuff in the world into your life, mind, body, spirit, prosperity, all the way through. Check it out. It's going to be amazing. You'll get to see some examples of what it is.
You'll see Ellie on there.
You'll see Ellie on there as always. And speaking of Ellie, this handsome man here, he's our dear brother, and he's always has us on his show. And we wanted to have him back, especially really to shed light of what's going on that we're hearing about with all this conflict. And I don't think nobody better than as a trusted source on this one than Ellie. So
agreed.
Yeah. So but before we get into the conversation here, Kabbalah Ellie Weber, also known as Kabbalah Guru, you can check out his channel on Rumble. It is very fascinating, very engaging, and I've got to tell you, where you get your downloads from, brother, I don't know, but keep them coming. But that's on Rumble at Kabbalah Guru, and you can find him there. And we've also got his website, ellieweber.locals.com. Takes a lot to put this stuff out there, so go and check out and see what he's doing, because this guy's all, you're going to find out if you're watching him for the first time, he's all about giving, right? So show some love, go to locals.com and see what he's about and see what he's doing in your life that can really help you in your life. So Ellie Weber, Kabbalah Guru, how are you? And welcome.
I'm great. So nice to get to hang with you and in this space. It's been a pleasure knowing you. I mean, you've been a great inspiration to me. Hey, Catherine. Great to see you.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. It's like I said, we're back in our rhythm too. So this is good for us. So no better way to do this. But all right, so I want to really help us to shed some light of what's going on here. I mean, you got this whole thing with the Israeli and the Palestine. And what is exactly happening? For example, in this, if you can help us from this perspective, we don't watch the news. So when we hear it, it's kind of like generally a third party or something, like, watch on your show or something. Can you help us to really understand what's happening and how are you interpreting it?
Right. So this is the final reveal of the deep state. We're looking at the death throes of you call it the deep state of the swamp, the Illuminati, the Satanists, the Cabal, the bloodline, 13 bloodline families that descend from Cain. I mean, whatever you want to call them, they have been running the planet, I believe, from underground. They have underground bases all over the planet. And they've been really trafficking in children and taking our taxpayer dollars and turning it into things for themselves, for their own entertainment, for their own pleasure. So we are at the final stage, I believe, of the reveal to humanity. In other words, most of us are so busy trying to make a living, trying to get by. I mean, they've upset the connection between men and women. So relationships are very difficult right now. It's difficult to make a living. It's difficult to find food that's good for you. It's hard to find, it's hard to find a place where the air is good. I mean, the water supply is suspect. Everything is been modified to really hurt us. I mean, are you on YouTube, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to mention, but this thing, man, I mean, you know what these people are about. They want to, they want to reduce our ranks. So if you want to look at this in a very understandable, simple way of what is really going on, this is the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. This is the end of this deep state cabal. What needs to happen, and it will appear to people who don't follow the news as though we're heading into World War III. And we will be heading into World War III, but we will not go into it, because the time of kinetic wars, this is how these people have taken advantage of us. The main idea, if you get nothing else from what I'm saying, is like this: divide and conquer. Arabs, Israelis, there's no way we could ever get along. We will go down to our deathbed fighting each other. This is exactly what the deep state wants. This is right out of their playbook, and now the world can see it firsthand. They did this in Pearl Harbor. They did this 9/11. They do this over and over again. All the wars are creations to depopulate humanity and to make sure that they have everything and we have nothing. It's really an enslavement. They enslave us with their fake banking, their fake medicine, the fake education, the fake, everything is fake. So at the end of the day, what has to happen and what will happen, and it must come from each of us individually. We all have to learn to live without fear, to live without anger, to really live, I guess you would call it love, to keep your heart space open, get along, and realize that the enemy has a vested interest in making us go to war with each other. Okay? They want us to fight with each other, but we just say, no, we're not doing it, man. It's not for us. And we're already in World War III. Yes, you're right, and we are already in World War III. But I'm just talking about a kinetic war, as S.G. Anand says. We're definitely in a war, but it is a war for your hearts and minds, and it is an info war. And the war will be won with information, not with guns. Because you can see how the mainstream media operates. It's all about cameras, lights, action, cameras. They have, like today, there's a big protest at the Capitol building. All the cameras are ready. It's a big, just like at Gaza, they had they flew in the reporters with the guns.
Do you feel, Ellie, like the rest of your faith, your belief, the Jewish people, do they have the same sentiment? How are they generally looking at it? Are they feeling like, oh, we're being attacked? And because you seem to have a very pragmatic view of this, though you're looking at this, it feels like you're looking at it from a different set of neutral lenses, if you would. How does the rest of your faith, or a good majority of your faith, see this?
Well, they're completely blinded by the propaganda that's being used against them. They feel that the world, they've been conditioned to feel the world wants to kill them, and it does, but it is not the world. Yes, there are anti-Semitic people, but the real killer of the Jewish people is their own government, is the deep state. The deep state runs the Israeli government, runs all the governments on the planet. So the deep state has a vested interest in keeping us so busy and so angry and so fearful that we never see the real enemy, which is hidden in plain sight. You can see it, like, if you look at closely at like what Disney does, what the actors do, what the sports people do, what the governments do. They're all unified in one thing. Like right now, this whole Palestinian protest, it's a deep state operation to terrify the Jews, to divide us, to make the Jews feel hopeless and helpless. But at the end of the day, all we have to really do is wake up and say, no more. If you look at the attack that Hamas perpetrated against the Israelis, this happened in broad daylight. They flew over the border. This is unheard of. We have an intelligence service that is, that they say not a grain of rice could get into Israel. So how did this happen? This is an operation planned and executed by the deep state. The deep state runs the Israeli government. The deep state runs Hamas. The deep state runs all terrorist events are created by this mafioso gangster force that's running the planet, the 13 bloodline families. They are invested in keeping conflict alive. So they want us to think that all Arabs are terrorists, all Jews are, money grubbing, thieves, and we're just land grabbers. This has nothing to do with the Jewish people. The Jewish people are innocent victims, just like the Palestinian people are innocent victims. They are being painted into a corner by an evil force, by a satanic force that they can't, they love to depopulate. So they want us to, get into this situation where we start fighting completely, and they're going to turn over the whole world because they've been backed into a corner. Because the difference is now is that people are starting to see, like my people have not opened their eyes yet, but they're close.
Yeah, my question is, and we hear it all the time, not knowledge. We have to get more knowledge out. But there are a hell of a lot of smart people in the world, and that doesn't really seem to be helping. So it's really ultimately not, I mean, we could, yes, obviously knowledge helps, but is it really the answer? Or is it either we get our shit together and all, kumbaya and raise the vibration and the energy and the love, or how much knowledge can keep getting out, and it's still repeating the same cycle? So my question to you really is knowledge really the answer?
Well, in this case, it is partially the answer, because until you know who the enemy is, you're going to be blaming the wrong people. So there is an aspect to that. But in terms of human evolution, I look to the two trees in the Garden of Eden. There was the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. So the tree of knowledge, when the reptile messed with our DNA, in the tree of knowledge, good and evil got mixed together. So you're right. There is an aspect where the smartest people in the world did this. The most, the biggest professors, they couldn't wait to, so yeah. So you're right. I mean, knowledge is limited. At the end of the day, we will be feeding, I believe, from the tree of knowledge, where, if you know a little Kabbalah, this is really, you would have to know a little bit, but I believe that there are three spheros that represent three aspects of godliness that represent our consciousness. That there's the male aspect, which is the inspiration. There's the female aspect that develops that inspiration. And then there's something called Das, which they translate as knowledge, but it's not really knowledge. It means intuition. And it means that through Das, by connecting to your heart space to above the intellect, it's really where we will be transcending as a species. We will be transcending what we now call knowledge or intellect, or the kind of busyness, that kind of busy thinking thing, that will not operate so much in the future. I mean, and those of us who are coming into 5D, we don't necessarily go there at all. I don't really spend any time in that kind of like fear, trying to figure things out. I don't make time for that, because I want to experience the intuitive, force and love and enjoyment of being a human on the planet. So you don't have to, the knowledge could be deceiving, but you have to you have to go beyond the knowledge with your intuition to a point where you recognize the truth. You just say, you know what, it may be this, it may be that, there's left, right, there's up, down, but I know what's right. I just know it in my heart. And when we get to that place, we'll be feeding from the tree of life, and we're very close.
Ali, I want to ask you, while we got the opportunity to have you here, is just a little bit more about your faith, if you can, really, because your faith comes with a lot of controversy. Yes, it's got a lot of history, a lot of mysticism. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so much to it. Is there something from the way you look at it? Is there something that you wish that, say, okay, well, I wish we would message this differently. I wish we would say something, like people could get a clearer message of really what we're about. What do you think some of the major misconceptions that really are real misconceptions that would need to be cleared up as it relates to the Jewish faith?
I mean, it's a quagmire. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think most Jews really understand Judaism, to be honest with you. And I think that our Rebbe, I'm a follower of the Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson. I think the introduction of Chassidus of Jewish mysticism into the mainstream Jewish community makes a tremendous difference. And that when people start learning Hasidus and learning mysticism, then they come to understand the meaning, and they really receive the light of Torah, which is essential to understanding where we're going. But yeah, there's no unified field. But on the other hand, I believe that all of our religions have been tampered with by this satanic force, and certainly Christianity. You have the Black Jesuits running the Vatican, and the Council of Nicaea, where they outlawed the belief in reincarnation, because they realized you couldn't control people that believe in eternal life. So I believe that the religions have been infiltrated, just like the governments, just like the medical community, just like the mainstream media, just like the educational communities, just like the banking community, that they've all been infiltrated by this satanic force that hides in plain sight and operates underground and is based on pedophilia and human trafficking and doing horrendous satanic things to little innocent children.
So I wanted to ask you, I want to tag on something that Jay was mentioning. What is the main core or the difference between Judaism and mysticism, Kabbalah mysticism?
Well, mysticism is Judaism. I mean, it is the basis of Judaism. But there is, people, some people tend to put like the practice of mitzvahs over the understanding of the underlying, the mitzvahs, the action. A religious Jew is all about doing mitzvahs. So the mitzvahs, these doing commandments without putting your own will into it, to doing things just because God wants it, is a tremendous source of light for people. It's an amazing way to live, and I miss it very much. I don't practice right now because I'm dealing with other issues, but it's a tremendous thing to serve God and to have ways to do that. So the mitzvahs, that's really how we serve God. But to understand the mitzvahs, and again, it's not necessary to necessarily understand what they mean, but to understand the godly workings underneath. You really need to know, I believe, Kabbalah and Hasidus to put things into perspective, that there is light and there are vessels, and that's what it's really all about.
So Judaism, and then you talk about it from the Hasidic Jew, right? Is that a different sect? Is that a different sect? Would that be like how the Christians would have maybe an evangelist or a Protestant or something of that nature? Is it just a different segment of it, or?
Well, those of us who are Hasidic believe that we are like kind of completing the Jewish picture. We are taking the tradition, the vessels of light, and bringing in the actual light of mysticism into those vessels. So in a way, the Rebbe, the leader of the generation, was like the Moses of all Jewish people. And he was not concerned, like he would institute Jewish practices on people that were Jewish but had never had any contact with religious Judaism. In other words, he was the Moses of the generation, and he really unified Judaism. I think under the Rebbe's authority, Judaism has become a unified force, in that he accepted all Jews as being Jewish. He didn't have to have a religious practice. He also accepted all humanity. He was very much into these, what is somewhat controversial, but he believed that people who are not Jewish should follow the Noahide laws, the 7 laws of Noah, which are not different or instead of the 10 Commandments, but like a sort of a framework. But this is a little bit misunderstood. But basically, The Rebbe believed in unifying humanity, he believed that the Jewish people were supposed to be out there teaching and working with non-Jews, and that it was it just wasn't actualized, in my opinion, the way he wanted it.
The concept or the messaging out there about, is Israel being the chosen place, if you would, or that area, is there any truth to that from how you see it? Is that, again, media thing? Is it just something to fight over, or is there any truth spiritually to Israel? It is a real special pocket in our planet right now, where it is divinely blessed. I mean, how do you see it?
Well, yeah, I believe there's major portals in Jerusalem. I mean, that seems to be probably the source of this. But no, we were given Israel by God in the Old Testament. I mean, how much of the Old Testament? I mean, we're trained to believe that everything in the Old Testament is 100% accurate. But according to the Old Testament, and remember that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all start with the book of Genesis. So all major religions accept the Genesis, and God gave Israel and the Temple Mount to the Jewish people. So it's not even permitted for us to give it away. It is ours. It belongs to the Jewish people. The Jewish people. Now, here's an interesting point. The Jewish people have to have their temple. I mean, the Islamic people have Mecca, the Christians have Rome or whatever, but our Temple Mount is sacred to the Jewish people. Now, think of this. Why would a so-called Jewish government keep their own people off the Temple Mount? That shows you
be something very,
right,
very, very special hidden in that ground.
Well, there's for sure something special, but for the government, that shows you that the government is not a Jewish government. It is a mafioso. It is a.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be something so valuable that is laying in that ground.
It's the portal. It's the portal. It's a portal. And until the Jewish people, I mean, I started my spiritual journey about 30 years ago. I had a vision on a summer day that until the temple is rebuilt by the Jewish people, there will be no peace on the earth. That temple has to be in Jewish hands. It was given to us by God. It was given to Jacob, and and I don't think Islamic people would argue with you. They built that thing on they know it's all. Everybody in the world knows that the temple belongs to the Jews, and when non-Jewish people understand how good it's going to be for them when the Jewish people have their Temple Mount, they will fight us. They will fight us tooth and nail to make sure we build it. That's what I've been told.
And to have it rebuilt, Ellie, how exactly would that take place?
We have all the plans. We have all the vessels. Everything is ready to go. It's just the Israeli government. And this is the key. The Israeli government, the UN, the deep state players have kept humanity at bay, have kept us from achieving our connection to source, our true connection to God, by keeping us off the Temple Mount. I mean, it's really that simple. And, if you think about it, the Israeli government let Hamas come in. The Israeli government is Hamas. They pay Hamas. I mean, it's not the Israeli government. It's the deep state. These satanic people support this regime that's running the world and keeping us in debt slavery, in medical slavery, eating disgusting food. I mean, we are slaves to this Vatican 13 bloodline family, really Canaanites. There were two sons. Adam had these two sons, Cain and Abel, and Cain did not look like Adam. Cain is a genetic experiment that these reptiles, that this race, the Nebu Greys, place this DNA in our genome, so that so the real sin in the Garden of Eden was not Eve, it was the reptiles. And we now, as humanity, have to realize who the real enemy is. And just one more thing I want to say on this is that there are no accidents in the world, in a spiritual world, that I believe the placing of this genetic structure in Adam is a very good thing in the long run, because it gives us a little bit of street smarts to fight the real enemy. Because left to our own devices, Adam was just like a sweetheart, man. He was just totally connected to godliness, and that's really, in essence, what we are like. So we need a little bit of a zets, a little bit of an extra juice to take on this satanic force that's so evil and so hidden from us that we can't even see it. We're so busy, and they keep us busy. They keep us hating each other. They keep dividing us. They make us think there's a big war between Arabs and Jews. It's just a fake war. It's just to disguise the fact that they don't want either the Arabs or the Jews to look at the real enemy, which is the deep state.
But in your opinion, you feel like this is actually getting us one step closer to where we need to be. This is just really
because I think people are seeing it now because of the communication devices, the fast kind of communication we have. People can actually see that, yeah, the media is manipulating this thing. The media is trying to get us all crazy about each other. The media is, it's all a plan. It's all a thing. And as people see this, they say, wait a minute. I don't have anything against Ahmad. I had this guy, Ahmad. He was my buddy, man. He ran a bodega down the street. I was like, man, Ahmad. And we would hug each other. We'd say, Ahmad. And that's Jewish people and Islamic people have gotten along for centuries, until the Mufti during the Second World War, when the Nazis took over. The Mufti says, no, you got to start fighting now, because it serves the deep state. It's all about looking at the real enemy. And the real enemy is not humanity. We are brothers and sisters, and we have the same wants, the same needs. And once we unify, man, their time is over. And that's what they're really afraid of.
It's interesting. On a personal note, I wanted people to get to know you. You actually are a chemistry teacher. Is your previous life? Is that correct? Yeah. And then now you are an influencer extraordinaire. You have a couple of shows you do. You're dedicated, man. You're at 11 o'clock and 7:45 every single day, other than your holy days that you have. When people go there, your links are going to be there. What experience would those watching you for the first time, what experience would you like for them to know that they're going to get when they come and visit your channel?
Well, when they get my channel, they're gonna see that I'm gonna separate the wheat from the chaff, and we're gonna go through individual articles of news. And instead of using them as to stimulate fear or anger, we see, this shows you how we're moving into a certain direction. So it's really showing you how everything, all streams lead to the Great Awakening. There's nothing that can stop what's coming.
Right on. So the links for Eli, man, first of all, I want to always thank you for your service and your commitment, and just really fighting a good fight, man. You do it. You really do it.
Every day.
I tell you, man, like clockwork. You really, really do it. I tell you, it's inspirational to watch, and I hope other people that are interested in wanting to do what you do kind of follow your lead. You're a great example. It's great to know your spirit, my brother. All of your links will be in the description below. Also, too, you got a locals thing here too, which is more of a community where people can really just get to support what you got going on there. So do check out that link, everybody, and just see if you'd like to be able to hear more of what our good friend Kabbalah Guru is doing, and really just keep that dream alive as far as the missions out there. Go to eliweber.locals.com. All right, Eli, any final words before you love and leave us?
Yeah, just thank you, and thank you for all the support and your friendship. In the last many months, you've been a tremendous friend, because I don't have a practical mind in terms of supporting myself. I'm just about getting the job done. But please join me on Locals. I'm doing Kabbalah tapes. I did a series on tantric, love making. I'm doing all kinds of different things on my locals channel, but I need the $8 support so that I can, so that they'll launch me into the next phase. I've run out of video space already, and I have so much to share. And so if you could join me on Rumbles and shell out the $8 a month, I'm going to put out a ton of content, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I want to just thank you guys for all your support. You and April just been tremendous friends through this whole thing.
How do you say no to this guy, everybody? I mean, how do you say no to this guy, for real? I love you, brother. Thanks a lot. And thanks, everybody, as always, for hanging out with us. It's really pretty cool. Thanks a lot much.
Thank you so much. And together with Kabbalah Guru's help, we are turning the universal key to global harmony and creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Many blessings.
Amen.